So, digital editor Finn Hogan is here with us to discuss. And Finn, what is happening out there week one?
Well, good morning, Rebecca. If we take a look at our top 10, it's the government's nightmare trio back in the pole position. We've got Seymour, Luxon and Peters holding on to those top positions. Chris Hipkins sliding into fourth. I think Labour's really want to see a little bit more of that chippy, unleashed energy coming out to bump up those numbers. Ardern famously sort of stayed out of the fray a little bit, but Hipkins has a bit of an edge when he leans into his Minister for Memes persona. So I think he's going to want to be doing that a little bit to bump up his numbers. David Seymour, on the other hand, he's holding on to that lead position, partially because he's posting just a lot more than the other candidates, and I think that shows that he's really trying to lean into that aura of being presumptive Deputy Prime Minister if there is a change of government.
The big Barbie bus wouldn't have hurt him either. Simon O'Connor is in the top 5, though. He seems to overperform in our digital power rankings quite regularly. What is driving that?
Yeah, it's interesting with Simon O'Connor. If we dig into his numbers a little, he's actually got way more video views than basically any other candidate we measure, over 2 million, which is quite impressive.
Go Simon.
His social media posts before have got him into trouble, but he does have a knack for posting the kind of meme humour, which tends to do quite well on Facebook, particularly with the older demographics, which are coming to dominate there. He posted an Austin Powers clip recently, which I think is quintessential. Like, it's the definition of a boomer post.
But boomer vibe.
Look, that's the demographic that is coming to dominate on Facebook. They're much more likely to vote. He knows his audience, so it's a smart play.
What about the party pages? Who is doing well?
Yeah, so it's interesting on the party pages. If we look into the numbers a little bit, it's basically neck and neck between Labour in terms of overall engagement. But National do have a bit of a lead when it comes to video views and the interaction rate. Interaction rate's basically just how likely people are to click on your content.
Okay.
But it's important to remember that National's on the attack, Labour's primarily on the defence. Social media algorithms very much prioritise attack over defence. So there is a bit of an advantage there. Meanwhile, Actors 5th, even despite all of Seymour's success. Te Pāti Māori and Green Party aren't even ranking in these top 5 right now. But remember, we're measuring overall engagement. Engagement doesn't equal support. Facebook does not care if you love or hate content, only cares if you click on it. Also important to remember, the more you post, the more clicks you're likely to get. So if we look at that top 5, we see Vision NZ and the Outdoors and Freedoms Party represented, but they're posting nearly 10 times a day on average. So, you know, quantity over quality.
Certainly. Well, so where are Te Pāti Māori and the Greens?
Yeah, so if we look at further down the rankings, they're coming in 6th and 7th, and then you've got New Zealand First in top after them. And New Zealand First have always sort of struggled in this area to sort of have a dominant party page performance outside of Winston's shadow. And we're starting to see that reflected a little bit with Seymour and ACT. I think overall, it's quite a disappointing result for Top particularly. If they're trying to angle themselves as the young, online, tech-focused party, they're really going to need to bump those numbers up and, you know, change their strategy if they're going to get a path to Parliament.
That's so fascinating. And with the election looming, surely now is the time to be spending on social. So what investment are we seeing?
We're seeing a lot. ACT have turned on the money hose. They've spent nearly $100,000 on Meta advertising in the last 30 days alone. But interestingly, it's not seeing massive gains for them in terms of the party page. Again, showing that Seymour's a very dominant brand, but doesn't necessarily splash back onto the party page. And if we look at the other parties, Labour's doing pretty well for the party page, despite spending the least. And I think that's sort of the incumbent advantage. Love it or hate it, it's very hard to not see their content. Greens have spent $31,000 in ad spend, but haven't got a big cut through, not even making it to the top 5. But I think that does reflect that the sort of activist base of the Greens are increasingly not on Facebook. They're moving off social media and into things like TikTok. So I think that's why they struggle to get cut through, even when they're spending money.
So we've seen Labour under fire this week for misleading posts. Actors candidate stepping down for old posts. James Shaw got into trouble. He was correcting his LinkedIn record. Are we expecting more social media snafus?
100%. I mean, look, this has been the most online election I can remember, and it's barely even begun. But I think the lesson that we're taking from this is social media, very double-edged sword. An attack ad can reach millions of people very quickly, but a mistake lives forever and can reach all those people just as fast.
A good rule, actually, for life. Thank you so much, Finn Hogan, for those digital power rankings.